Hi loves, welcome back. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how to make this beautiful pinafore short dress. It is very simple. If this is what you're interested in learning, please keep on watching and let's get started. For this tutorial, I'll be making use of 3 yards of Ankara prints. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Ankara prints, place it on top the table by folding into 4 folds. You can see how I folded it. Just fold into 2 and fold again. Now, the back is not going to have a zipper allowance, so you can see the center fold is totally folded, and we are going to cut both the front and the back together. I'm going to first of all draw out my baseline, and this baseline is going to be the shoulder points, and I'm going to cut out the rest of the Ankara because we just need little fabric for the upper bodice. Now guys, I'm going to place my tape on the shoulder and mark down to the bust points 9.5 inches for this client, and then I'll go down and mark 15 inches for the waistline. Now you guys, if you take a look at the inspiration, we have a band right at the waistline. Okay, so I'm still going to reduce these 15 inches because from about 12 inches to these 15 inches we are going to have a band right there. Now I'll place my tape on the shoulder and divide the shoulder into 2, mark it out, go down to 1 inch for shoulder slope, and then for the chest line, I'm going to divide the bust circumference by 6 and add 1.5 inches and then mark it. Now I'm going to connect it into the shoulder slope, and that becomes the armhole depth. Now I'm going to move over to the shoulder line again, and from the center fold I'm going to mark in 3.5 inches for the front neck width. And now for the neck depth of the front, I'm going to make use of 6 inches. It's going to be a V neckline. And then for the neck depth of the back, I made use of 1 inch. Now I'm going to use my curve to connect all the necklines together. Now I'm going to connect the shoulder slope into the neck width, and from there I'll divide the bust circumference by 4 and add 1 inch for ease. Okay, now I'm going to connect the armhole. Although this armhole, I'm not going to use it for anything because this is a pinafore that doesn't have armhole. Now what I'll do next is move over to the waistline and go up by 3 inches. Okay, like I said previously, from these 3 inches downwards I'm going to make use of a band right there. Okay, so I'm still going to cut off that part of the down because I'll be inputting a band of 3 inches right on that point. Okay, on that spot. Now from the center fold I'm going to come in by 4 inches. This 4 inches is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, and then I would connect this line to the shoulder just like this. Now you can see what we have, and what I'm going to do next is add up my shoulder sewing allowance of 1/2 inch and then connect the points together. Now after this I'll cut off. Okay, now after cutting this I'm going to go ahead and cut off this 3 inches and then add 1/2 inch for my sewing this into the down parts. Okay, now here is the front and the back. So I'm going to remove the back and cut off the front neckline. So guys, you can see this is what we have. I'm going to equally cut my lining for this. So here is for the front. I'm going to do the same thing for the back. So guys, I'm done cutting this and it is now time for us to join them together. Now we're going to be joining this lining to lining and fabric to fabric. Okay, So for the lining, I'm going to bring it and place the right side facing each other and join the shoulders together. Now for the actual fabric, I'm going to place the right side facing each other and join the shoulders as well. Now after joining it, this is what we have. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and next we are going to pin up the neckline. Okay, now you're going to ensure that the right side of the lining is facing the right side of the actual fabric. Now I'm going to use my pin to secure it down. Okay, all around the neck I'm going to secure it so that it will be very easy for me to join the neckline. Okay, so I'll move over to my sewing machine after pinning it down to sew around the neckline, and after that I'm going to top stitch and then turn it over to the right side. So you guys, you can see what I have. I've equally given it a good press. Next is for me to finish up the side seam by turning it just like this, and then making sure that the right side of the lining and the fabric are facing each other, with the other side being sandwiched in between them. So I'm going to do that and then move over to my sewing machine and stitch using 1/2 inch. Now after stitching it, I would turn it over to the good side, and you guys, this is what we have. You can see that one side of it is neatly finished. We are going to repeat the same thing for the other side. Okay, so you can see what I am doing. I'm going to make sure that the right side of the lining and the fabric are facing each other, with the other side being sandwiched in between them. Okay, I'll stitch this with 1/2 inch and then bring it out to the good side. So guys, as you can see, we are done with the sewing. So I'm trying to bring it out to the good side. After that, I'm going to move over to the ironing table and give this a good press. Okay, so guys, here is what we have. I'm going to put it aside so we could cut out the bands. Remember when we were cutting this out from the hemline, we trimmed off 3 inches with the intention of replacing it with a band. So now we are going to cut out the band. I folded my fabric into 4 folds, and I'm going to mark 3 inches upward just like this. After marking these 3 inches, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. As you can see, I am done cutting out the upper part. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the down part, so we can have 4 pieces of this. Now the wideness of these bands, I used 29 inches. Okay, but this doesn't really matter. I intentionally made it excess so that afterwards I'm going to trim it down to the round waist measurement. So guys, you can see what we have. I've chalked the wrong side. Now on this wrong side, I'm going to fuse in this paper stay to make it firm, and I'm going to fold in 1/2 inch on both sides. Now after doing that, you guys, this is what we have. You can see what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and fold my band into 2 like this, and then notch the middle of the upper part and the down part. I'll repeat the same thing for all of the bands. And after that, I'm also going to notch the center of my bodice for both the front and the back. Now after notching it, it is time for us to fix in our band into the bodice. Okay, now to fix it, one band is going to go underneath and the bodice is going to be in between the 2 bands. Okay, now after aligning the centers together, go ahead and place in the other band on top like this. Use your pins to hold it and then move over to your sewing machine and stitch using 1/2 inch. Okay, now you're going to stitch on the line that I folded in just like this. Okay, now guys, after doing that, this is what we have. Now let me open the inside. You can see. Now guys, we are going to move over to the down parts. Now here are the pieces I'll be using for the down parts. What I have here is my waist circumference times 3, so that it will be enough to gather around my waistline. Okay, now the length of my gown is 35 inches. So what I'm going to do is mark out 1/2 inch and remove the half length. So you can see what I have here is 38 inches. So the 2 inches I'll be using it to fold in the hemline. and you can see the wideness is very long, just enough to go around my waistline. And I have this into two parts because I need for both the front and the back. Okay, so guys, I'm going to go hem the down part and make a loose stitch right at the upper part and gather it up. Now guys, this is the upper part. I want to go ahead and trim the waistband to the size of my waist circumference. Remember, my waist circumference is 28 inches. So what I'm going to do is locate the middle of these upper parts, and then I'm going to place my tape and divide my waist circumference by 4. Okay, and mark it out on one side and repeat the same thing on the other side. So my waist circumference divided by 4 is 7. I'm going to add 1 inch for side sewing allowance. I'm going to repeat the same thing to the other side. And after that, I'm going to cut it out. So guys, you can see we have trimmed this down to the size of our waist circumference. And we have also gathered the down parts. So it's time for us to fix these down parts into the upper parts. Now you can see I've gathered this to my waist circumference divided by 14 inches, and I'm going to fix it into the band. Now to fix this, I'm going to bring in the upper parts and then place the gathered parts in between the two bands. Okay, now I'm going to first of all stitch on the half an inch that I folded in, and then I'm going to top stitch with the upper part of the band just like this. So I've done that for the back. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the fronts. So I'm going to bring in the gathered pieces for the front parts, and then I'm going to place it. So you can see what I am doing. I'm going to make sure that the wrong side of the gathered pieces is facing the right side of the half an inch on the band underneath. I don't know if you understand. And I'm going to use my pin to hold it. You can see what I am doing. Now, after that, I'm going to move over to my sewing machine and stitch on the half an inch line, just like this. And then I'm going to place it in the middle of the two band like this and top stitch using the upper band. So guys, you can see I am done with this. This is what the back looks like. And you can see how neatly finished this is looking. Now it is time for us to join the side seam. Remember, we left 1 inch on both sides for joining the side seam. So I'm going to mark it from the waistband down to the hem of my gown. Now after marking it, I'm going to also place my tape right at the upper parts and then mark down to 8 inches because we're going to be fixing our zip right here. Now to stitch this, I'm going to, from the upper part of the band, stitch to the 8 inches using loose stitch, and then the remaining part I'm going to stitch with a tie stitch. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. And you guys, this is what we have. This is so beautiful. Now it is time for us to go fixing the zip. I've gone ahead to use my iron to iron down the seam allowance of the zipper. So I'm going to bring in my zipper now, go over to my sewing machine and fix it, and then come show you guys the final look of our gown. So guys, as you can see, I am done fixing up the zip, and here is the final product. It is actually very beautiful. Even though it is not the size of the mannequin, this is smaller to this mannequin. You can see it has actually refused to close up. What do you think about this beautiful dress? Is it what you would love to have in your closets? Leave a comment in the comment section, and also share this video so that more people can get to see it. Subscribe if you haven't done yet. I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.